hasn't worked for you so far? Real big general question, but what hasn't worked as far as what doesn't work when you're writing new material, or what doesn't work for you when you're booking, or what doesn't work for you when you're assembling this album to be really? Have you noticed some things that are just don'ts for any musician, or maybe just for y'all?
Yeah, I think just being able to, like, especially like we were talking about before, just having so many people, and being able to, like, there has to be clear and concise communication between everybody, or else it's not going to work. And, like, that's been something that we've kind of learned and have been working on, just to get better at. When you have a phone and somebody texts you, you don't have to answer it.
Right.
And that's great in some cases, and also not great, because like, if you have a brain like me, sometimes somebody texts you something that you don't necessarily want to answer, and you're like, maybe I'll just wait and not answer it. But just, like, being able to communicate to who's in the band, and, like, because we have a lot of people, so it's a lot of moving parts. People are out of town maybe one day and can't come to a gig, or something like that. And I think that's mainly for us has been something that we've been trying to work on more, and it's been way better. And that's just growing.
What's aided you with that? What's helped you?
I think just our.
Don't say answering your text. We want
real
answers here.
No, I think
somebody will be like, oh, I never thought of that.
I think just, like, having the people that we do in the band that are passionate and, like, want to make it work. I think that's the best. Obviously, that's kind of a no-brainer, but, like, if you have people that don't really want to make it work or don't care as much, it's not going to work. But if everybody is kind of all in and everybody is kind of working together, which we have, thankfully, it's a lot easier to kind of be like, all right, I need to be answering more. I need to be, trying to get together more, whatever the case may be. I think that's important. And I think, too, like, with touching, like, on a separate note for, like, difficulties, like writing music more, I've learned, and it kind of goes with anything, but, like, forcing stuff is never.
No, it's an impossibility.
It's impossible.
You won't have a genuine result. That's
exactly.
For sure.
And if you with writing, or just communicating with people, like, if you're trying to force something down somebody's throat, or you're trying to force a song to work, or a lyric to work, and it just doesn't work. That's sometimes you just have to, you got to just move on and try something that maybe you're sitting in the shower or whatever, just singing to yourself, and you're like, oh, that works, and it's not forced. It's not anything that was or same thing with communication. You have to. There's like a give and take between people, doing anything, where if you try and force someone to do something, they're gonna want to do it less.
Right.
You kind of have to give them a reason to want to do it. You know what I mean?
A little bit of freedom too.
Yeah.
Has there been any mandatories in your band? Any kind of mandatory anything?
Not. I mean, some of the stuff, like recording. We want everybody to be there. Yeah. And that's not more of, like, you have to be here. It's like, we want you to be here so that we sound the way we should sound.
Sure.
But we've gotten to the point where we all have been playing together for long enough to where we can kind of we have the ability to be able to, like, listen to somebody else playing something and maybe not have to work on it as hard as we would have before. Obviously,
because you're doing remote. Is that what you're saying?
No, just, like, we try to kind of divide between sections a lot of times, and just kind of do horns working on their own stuff, and rhythm section working on their own stuff, and obviously we'll combine and do stuff together, but it's so hard to get people in one spot. It's kind of pointless to try and 3 days a week we all need to be together in this one spot at the same time, and instead we've tried to kind of delegate to where, like, the horns will get together this day, or whatever day y'all figure out, and the rhythm section will get together, and then usually we do like a day before. If we have a show, we'll all get together and kind of work on whatever we want to work on for the next day for the show, and I think that's helped a lot. Just trying to organize ourselves a little bit better,
Yeah, I mean it's a necessity with so many people. I would imagine.
Definitely.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
After the release of the upcoming album, or I should say, looking back on it, how did you feel with the album itself? Because that's not that's not recorded live together like the EP was. It's recorded in a different fashion, correct?
So that will be something that we decide on, but I think going off of like how we did the EP, we'll probably do it in a similar fashion where we're all in the same room. Yeah, and like there's definitely, it's not like one take, or it's not, I mean, we're, there's sections that need to be overdubbed and like, some vocal parts that I might put on top or stuff like that, but we definitely lean toward more of, being able to like see each other while we're playing and feeding off of each other, and I think so, at least for right now, that's the plan of how we're, planning on doing, the next stuff we record.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a big thing of that was doing it together in the live room, but taking full advantage of the recording process and being able to go over after with the same microphones, the same horn players, and the same take, but just kind of reverberate and polish up those parts. Being able to put the focus in and drill it.
Yeah.
That way they have the credit they deserve for the work they put in for the parts.
Yeah. I've never really thought about it. I mean, you I guess certain parts people want isolated, like the vocals or something. I mean, that's why they have ISO booths for things like that. But so it's not a necessity. And honestly, bands of yesteryear, that's all they did. They were all in the same room together.
Yeah, that's some of the coolest stuff too. Like you listen to
it is.
You listen to Fats Domino, Ray Charles, guys in the 50s and 60s, and obviously before that, and it was one mic in the middle of the room with however many people playing, and if somebody messed up on one part, you just have to do the whole thing again. And there's something to that which I love, and just kind of that like raw, like it's raw music. It's not obviously there's effects, especially now, like just the ability to put different effects on different instruments and parts, but there's something about that, just having one mic, everybody in the same room. It's more of a performance than it would be if you're all.
It's more honest. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's more honest. And honestly, to back what you were saying earlier, I mean, you could put 1,000 effects on something, and it no longer resembles the moment in time, which is what was supposed to be captured. It's a moment in time, audio, moment in time.
100%.
I mean? So that's cool. So I guess for future albums, that's going to be an element that you're going to want to preserve then. Yeah, staying together for the recordings.
Yeah, I think so, and we definitely have some plans to do some live recorded albums, like at venues and stuff like that.
Okay.
With us on stage, for an audience, and that's some of my favorite stuff to listen to.
I don't find that to be too common. I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe it's just me, but
no, it's not these days.
But but I mean, like the preference is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm choosing between a studio album and a live album, I'm gonna choose the studio album for the quality of the sound.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Maybe today that's different. Maybe you can avoid some of those pitfalls that they couldn't in the past with the technology that they had, but I was just pointing out that it's kind of uncommon for someone to say, well, I prefer listening to the live recording.
Yeah.
And typically that'd usually be for the difference in how, we said we play live compared to recorded, because live, I mean, you're capturing, you're pulling all these different elements out from within.
Sure.
And you're feeding off the crowd, and that's something that other people like Allman Brothers used to they wouldn't record a song until they've played it live in front of people. But then when they do record it, they have people there, so that they basically have their own audience of their closest friends and whatnot.
Gotcha.
And they would feed off of that. But that's going to be the biggest element in the recording process for us, is meeting in the middle between the benefits of production in the studio and the benefits of the elements that you capture live.
Sure. Gotcha. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
It's something unto itself. Excuse me, I would say something unto itself because of the qualities it presents, but also because it's kind of rare. Like, you don't see it as much anymore.
Yeah, and I think just like it's a different feeling that you get. You know, you if you listen to like some live stuff and you know, you feel the crowd, you know, build and the energy from the band as well kind of does the same thing. I mean, it's kind of inevitable if, you know, you have, you know, however many people in a crowd cheering or not cheering, hopefully cheering, but
Right.
but you know, you have however many people, you know, going crazy, and it you know, it gives you extra. It gives you
Sure.
adrenaline. It gives you,
Yeah.
you know, maybe something that you might not have gotten out of the studio. And like I said before, like I'm. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a me liking one more than the other, but it's different. It's a different.
Okay. So
You know what I mean?
it adds.
Yeah, yeah.
It adds to the experience, I guess.
Yeah,
you're
and it
saying.
depends what I'm in the mood for too. You know, like, you know, I love like folk music too. Like I love, you know, Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel and you know, whoever else I could name that I can't think of right now. But I also love listening to like, you know, a Dave Matthews album from, you know, 2002, and then listening to another one 10 years later, and it's the same songs all in a different order, and they're, you know, they have different feelings and emotions that are like attached to them, and that's the coolest stuff for me, is just like, you know, same thing with the Allman Brothers, just like looking at different shows and being like, wow, they played this song last instead of first, and it's like completely different, you know, it's a completely different feeling, it's a completely different, you know, the basis is still there, but like I guess how they get to certain parts is different, and yeah, you know.
You go from operating on instinct, and I mean, it's instinct versus premeditation, basically.
Yeah.
So you're getting two different versions of the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I love finding out later on the backstory, like when they do documentaries and
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you realize why that album sounded so much more angry than the one before,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the drama that was going
Yeah,
on within the
yeah.
band, or
No,
things of that nature.
100%.
Do y'all get together after shows and discuss what you feel worked well and what didn't, as far as, I don't know, a set list or parts in a song or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to play sports in high school. I played football and everything, and like, you watch film, you know, like after a game, or whatever you're doing, to get better. And yeah, we do the same thing. We almost always take voice memos of like our live shows, so we can listen back. And a lot of times we'll go back to our recording space or practice space, and yeah, listen back and just kind of listen to, you know, maybe not the whole entire thing, but certain parts where people were like, oh, this song was insane, you know, let's listen to that one. And a lot of, you know, not a lot of times, but you'll get the occasional one where it's like, okay, it sounded way better in my head when we were playing it.
There's a lot of things like that.
Yeah, but that's the best to just be like, all right, you know, and especially with writing your own parts for your own songs, listening to us play one of our own songs and being like, that part was great. We need to emphasize that.
Sure.
That needs to be a specific part when we play it the next time live.
Sure.
Or maybe the opposite of that, you know, saying maybe I shouldn't play that on bass. Maybe I should do something different. But I think that's important for us too, just getting better live, and kind of working our set list, and being able to listen back and hear somewhat of what the audience was hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an important aspect of, yeah, like after a show, yeah, definitely.
How much do you think that it influences your decisions when it comes to the album? Or do you just keep the two separate in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's separate because we do try and change up the set list a lot in terms of positioning of like songs or what we're gonna open with. Just because I like doing stuff differently. Trying to do stuff differently every time, you know, and trying not to play something maybe the same way. Even an original that, you know, that we've recorded, and even doing it live maybe slightly differently, that, you know, it gives somebody maybe that knows the song, if they know the song, you know, it's like, oh, you know, they kind of feel together in on it, which a lot of like jam bands will do.
I think it's mutually beneficial though, because I mean, if you're a band that's gigging a lot, you're gonna get tired of playing the same thing all the time, the same way. And respectively, the audience, I mean, you got some people that are going to go to several of your shows because they like you that much, and they're going to be disappointed if you open up with the same thing and close with the same thing, you know?
Yeah, and that's a really good point too, because then you have to balance it where it's like, you know, this person may have seen you the last 6 times you've played, or, you know, there's people here that have never seen you play ever, you know?
Right.
So it's finding a balance of like, we want to change it to where we're less comfortable with it, you know, not to the point where we, you know, we're not sure what we're doing, but just changing it up to where it's different, and we're having to like work through things on stage as well.
Yeah.
And also to where, you know, someone listening to us is not like, well, this is not what I expected to hear, but it's a balance, you know.
Sure.
And I think playing more live helps with that, you know.
Yeah.
Make them subscribe. They'll like you, but you gotta go.